Please like, subscribe, and be sure to click that bell button for regular and exciting indie film content and your chance to be the first to engage with the Liftoff Global Network of Film Festivals as we embark on launching the careers of the filmmakers of tomorrow.
Hello! Welcome everyone to our First Looks live stream, Manchester Liftoff.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Lloyd.
And I'm Carolyn.
We're new to the team here.
And we are very excited to talk about 8 films today. Lloyd, do you want to describe how these films were picked for today?
Yes, it's our disclaimer moment. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm just going to read off of here, make sure I get all the points. Basically, it's just to say that today's selections aren't winners, nor are they nominees. It's people that have responded to our post and given us a pitch. And from the, do you remember how many? 300?
So we have several hundred films that are part of the Manchester Film Festival. And then Lloyd and I, on the Network Hub, our members hub, put out a request. Pitch us your films if you want to be included in this live stream. And we had 16.
16. So from those 16, we have chosen pitches that for some reason spoke to us or excited us. Very subjective. And we've decided to watch those films, and we're going to chat about those films today. So that's what these films are, and they're people from all different levels of their career, all different stages, and yeah, I think that's the disclaimer I want to share.
Yeah, and what we really want to encourage everyone to do is that regardless of where you are in your career, first film or you've done several, keep making more films. That's why we're here, to promote you and your work, because you've created this film, and now we want to see more from you, because as artists, Lloyd and I are both actors, we just always get better as we create art. So keep up the good work creating your art. Let's talk really quickly about the festival structure for those who aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, me neither, by the way, so don't worry, we'll get there. So we have three categories here, 3 programs. We have local filmmakers, trendsetters, and features. And within our pitches and selections, we have, I think it's trendsetters and local.
Yeah.
It's the only ones we'll be talking about today.
Today we just happen to not be talking about any of the features. Disclaimer. Okay, so shall we just jump right in then?
Jump right in?
Oh,
Do
actually,
we want to talk about...
Yeah, sorry, I missed that. Okay, so where we are at right now with the Manchester Film Festival. The Manchester Film Festival has already started, Manchester Liftoff. It started on the 13th of March, and it's going to go until the 10th of April. And right now we are in what's called the audience round. And so in this round, anyone can vote, right? After the audience round completes, then we go into the network round. And in the network round, that's when the jury and audience votes are all collected together, and then the top films get promoted into that network round, and then a new round of judging happens within that network round, and that's when we find out the picks of the festival at the very end.
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, and picks of the festival, nominations happen for this lovely little coveted Liftoff trophy. We've got little rockets coming out of the planet because
Lifting
you're all
off.
lifting off. Okay, let's get to it. What you've all been waiting for. Anything else to say?
No, I think it's good. Let's talk about their films.
Okay.
They've been sat waiting for long enough.
Yeah.
Let's do
Okay. So I'm off first, talking about The Deportation of a Model Citizen. This film is so exciting. It's part of Trendsetters, and really want to encourage you all to take a look at it. What I didn't know before I watched this film, because I was just going off the pitches that were made by the filmmakers, is that this film has qualified for the 2023 Oscars. Like, well done. Really well done.
Pretty cool.
And when you take a look at this film, do it, you'll see why. It is incredible. So what The Deportation of a Model Citizen centers around, it's by a Danish filmmaker, Jacob Thomas Pilgaard. And he creates a fictional story based off of real life events. He takes a political situation in Denmark, that Denmark is one of only 2 European countries that in 2022 considered Syria to be a safe country to deport refugees to. And so what he's done is he's written and he's directed an incredibly moving story about what happens when someone who is a model, an upright citizen, gets deported under this law. There was a quote within this film that I really feel like captured the essence of what it was. And I just want to read it to you really quick. There's a character in it who's trying to promote this person trying to root for the person who's about to get deported. And as they're preparing a speech that they're going to give at a demonstration, that they're hoping to give at a demonstration, they say, should you follow the rules of society, or should you have the courage to live by a higher ideal? And that is basically the question this film asks. And it asks it by taking this filmmaker, Jacob, he specializes in making films that take strangers, puts them into a situation where then they affect the way each other sees the world as these strangers then get to know each other's stories. Highlights of this film are incredible cinematography, really, really tight script and dialogue. And
I think you were saying earlier about the sense of it, the dialogue being needed. When dialogue's needed, what that gives you as an audience member.
There's this lovely scene where we're in the car and we have two, you think that they're antagonists at the beginning of the play at the front of the car, and the protagonist is in the back. And the two antagonists just kind of start talking about every day-to-day life things, and you just get a sense that we're in the reality of their world. Nothing feels forced. It's just the conversation that would actually happen in that moment. But then something that was even stronger for me in this film is the use of silent storytelling. So much of this 23-minute long film is told without words, and it is incredibly impactful. So that is my first pick for today's First Looks, The Deportation of a Model Citizen. It is a part of The Trendsetters, and check out this film by Jacob Thomas Pilgaard from Denmark.
Nice. I'm going to watch it. I also, disclaimer, we haven't watched each other's films, and I would be watching this for sure. I'm kind of jealous. Yeah, okay.
Great.
Nice.
Over to you for your first pick.
So we're going to jump to like a whole other realm. This one's actually a short music video. It's called The Imposter by Lucinda Lewis. I want to talk about why I chose from the pitch. And again, just a subjective thing. But Lucinda talks about the fact that she shot this alone. Like one crew member, herself, and then the two performers.
The only person.
The only person. and in the pitch just kind of talked about and encouraged the sense of, like, you can do it, go and make stuff. And I think that's just such an important thing to remember, such an important message. And so I was like, I want to see what she's been up to, you know? Like, let's go. And it's this wonderful, distorted, kind of gothic and psychedelic music video. I think in her pitch, Lucinda, if you're here, you spoke about it being pulled directly from a 1980s teenage bedroom, or attic of a teenage bedroom or something, which I think is like a very accurate way to describe this film. And I enjoyed the distortion. You have these two characters that are like something like grabbing each other's faces, and I don't know, it's weird, wacky, and wonderful. And then jump forwards to post that I feel like it's edited together really well with the music. And we were having a conversation earlier about there's something in here that, I mean, you had a hard job, huh? One crew member yourself. There's something in the simplicity of like, right, I have this idea, I want to make this music video, and I want to make film. And sometimes I feel as artists we get like, I want to do everything, and we take on all these tasks, and it's kind of impossible, especially with film. You have so many things to do, I feel like you took something simple and you did it effectively, and that's such a important start to any artist's career in whatever art form. And I think why that came up is just talking about like editing to music and how that in itself gives you a nice framework, and I think you did it really well. And yeah, it was a fun, distorted journey and fits with the music. So go check it out. It's really fun. And one person, she did it alone. So
What were those words you used at the beginning? You said psychedelic, and what was the other one?
Gothic.
Gothic.
Somehow, I don't know. This is just my words and how I'm explaining it. You see it for yourself. But yeah, and it was also trendsetter. Yeah, it's good fun, and it's a nice song. So get some headphones, have a listen.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Okay, so moving on to number 3, my second pick. This one is called The Bonsai, and it has a super title, Precious Gift of Nature. So, The Bonsai, Precious Gift of Nature. And this film was directed by Dippa Basnet. Now, what I would really love to chat about right at the first is that we had a little bit of a delay with our screen, but we've got the bonsai up and going. Okay, what I'd really love to first talk about with the bonsai is this film had a lot of engagement with us on the hub, on the member hub. A lot of responding to comments. They made a great pitch. And as I had watched this film and, was making notes about what it was that I wanted to talk about and everything, then we got to the credits, and I was looking for this individual, Rumal Shri, who I'd been conversing with on the hub, talking about their film. They were also commenting and liking other filmmakers' posts. And as I'm looking at the credits, they're not the director, they're not the writer, they're not the producer. It keeps going down and down and down. And they are the festival producer, which to me was just, whoa, that's a really good idea.
Cool.
To have someone completely dedicated to promoting the film, because we do have so many different hats we wear as artists. And when you have someone who can just take on one specific job, Rumal, I just want to give a shout out to you. You have done such a great job promoting your film. We're very happy to be talking about it today. And thank you for offering so much support also to the other filmmakers who have made pitches.
That's super important.
Yeah, it's really important. That's how artists are able to create good work, is by promoting and helping each other, right? Share what you've learned, and we all move forward together.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, really good. Okay, this film really hits on an important, often overlooked story, I think, is it's focusing on an individual with a disability. In this film, it happens to be a young girl who has dwarfism. And this film comes to us from Nepal, by the way. And it basically just follows her story as she grapples with what it's like to be different, what it's like when you hear people talking about you, what it's like when sometimes people are very rude. And I just also need to give a shout out to this actress who plays Ajma. Did I write her name down? Oh, I didn't write her name down, and that is a shame. No, it's right here. Binisha Gurmang. Everyone should follow this woman, this girl. Follow her career. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. She says very little in the film. She's got a little bit of dialogue here and there, but mostly we are just with her. The camera's so often right on her face, and she's just so unaffected and so engaging to watch and follow as she processes this whole story. Great artist. I'm really excited to see what she's going to continue to do in the future.
Interesting that quietness, like silence, non-verbal, has come up again.
Yeah.
It's a visual medium, right? And it's, when you can do that effectively, it communicates a lot. It's just interesting that for 2 of your films, and maybe more, let's see, that's come up as like a really key point for you.
Yeah.
And that it's been done effective is exciting, you know.
Yeah. And that's one of the beauties of filmmaking, is that such an important aspect of the
Right.
filmmaking process, if you're able to like really
Like nail it.
nail it. Yeah. So with that in mind, there's one scene, there's beautiful cinematography that happens throughout this film. There's some gorgeous, gorgeous overhead shots of kids playing basketball on a playground in Nepal.
Cool. Okay.
It's like beautiful. The movement of the kids, I loved it. But then there's this scene that really caught my attention, and it's a dream sequence that happens in a nursery with a bonsai tree. Basically, this character, she sees this small bonsai tree. For me, as an audience member, the way I interpreted it was that she was relating herself to the bonsai, this small tree, right? And in this sequence, this dream sequence, she is now like on the counter being worked on as if she were the tree itself, and is on this little kind of like turntable / Lazy Susan, which you would put...
Lazy Susan?
Maybe that's an American term. Lazy Susan is something
like
that
a
like...
spinning
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like it's usually at a dinner table, so that's probably not the right terminology.
I know it. Yeah. Got it.
Turntable that you would put a tree on to then like turn it and prune it and like get it in its right position. But in this dream sequence, she is now on the table and it's spinning as she's like being like worked on, and it just brought such beautiful imagery of this young girl, Ashma, just like longing for and wanting to have attention and to be looked after and to be thought of as like kind of worthy to be on that pedestal, and so much care being put over them. And then I just need to say this, and then we'll move on to the next film.
No rush.
So this dream sequence happens after earlier in the film she goes to visit a nursery and she sees a man working on a bonsai tree, and it's on this same thing. Now, I didn't notice this until the second viewing of this film, but when you're in the first time that she's in the nursery, as he's working on the tree, there's a spray bottle that's next to the turntable, and as he spins the tree kind of like knocks the spray bottle and it falls down on the ground. Then in the dream sequence, as she's being spun, that same spray bottle knocks down on the ground, and it was just one of those moments where as an audience member I was like, that's cool. That's a cool detail moment.
Yeah.
So well
That's
done,
cool.
the whole film. Take a look at it and really pay attention to the cinematography that happens, especially through the middle of the film, and the work of the actress playing Ashma.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was in local filmmakers.
That was in local filmmakers, so check it out there.
Nice. Cool. Jump into the next.
Let's go into the next.
Fast boom. Next film. Like, let's go. Musart, and this was it was directed by Kevin Hanslick, and it was pitched by Randall Vima, and it's his story. Again, I kind of enjoying sharing why I chose from each pitch, and there was something personal. It's Randall Vima's personal story, and that's always exciting personally for me to oh, okay, wow, they've gone through an experience and they feel like they want to share this. Yeah, and it's I don't want to say too much about his story, but ultimately he played viola. And spoiler alert, now still does, but went through a period of life where, because of a disease, could no longer play. He was a professional player, and loved it, and ended up finding painting as a new means to express his self, I guess, ultimately.
Yeah.
And still with this love of music and the orchestra, decided to paint each instrument from the orchestra. And then later in life,
That's really beautiful. His paintings are like a love story to his art that he lost.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And and incredible what can come out of turmoil, of struggle, of something that you didn't necessarily want to happen, and then you have all these beautiful paintings.
Yeah.
And they're very beautiful paintings. And then later in life, basically had an operation, which meant that he could then play viola again. So now he paints and plays viola. Woohoo! It's amazing.
And not only that, but he's also like getting into filmmaking.
Right.
By the sounds of it, having
Wanting to tell that story.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And so we've got an artist that you're talking about who's like using all different avenues of art to create work.
Yeah, right, exactly. And in this case, it's basically you again. Interestingly, again, it's definitely put some headphones on and have a listen, because it's beautiful music, and as the music's playing, you're getting images of his paintings and bits of text just to explain the story. And yeah, that story is just such a moving and again inspiring thing. Like, keep finding ways to express yourself and I guess trusting that your story is something to share, to be told. I would love to see this. It's a beautiful story. I'd love to see it taken further and developed. And this, I guess, I was saying earlier, because it's already multimedia, it's music, it's paintings, and now you're diving into this world of film. Like, there's so many like avenues you could take with this. It's a very exciting idea. I don't know if you already do, Randall, but I was already picturing you in a beautiful gallery space with your paintings around and playing, and then what does it mean if you then document that process and make a film out of that? I don't know. It inspired a lot of thought, and I think it's really nice to take the courage to share your personal story. So thank you for that. Go check it out. It's a really lovely, really moving story and lovely music, and it's in the Trendsetters. Definitely have a watch, have a listen. Another one for the headphones for sure.
And let this just be the beginning, like Lloyd was saying.
Exactly.
And that, again, for all the filmmakers, what's next? That's what we're here at Liftoff to help you do. What's next now that I have this film? What am I going to create next? Who am I going to connect with next? Keep going. Okay, so we're halfway through. We're more than halfway through. So now we are going into The Happier I Get. This is a short documentary film by Beth Connolly, and it follows her friend, Alberto, someone that she's known for the last 7 years. And it becomes very clear in this film that this was a real labor of love, that she did this because Alberto has impacted her life so much. It just so happens that a lot of the films that I ended up picking from the pitches ended up being films about individuals with disabilities. And this one is, if you can hear that, don't worry, we just have a little dog growling in the background. His tummy's growling. But, lost my train of thought.
The correlation of a lot of the films you chose was...
Oh, yeah. A lot of the films that I happen to be talking about today in these first looks happen to focus on the stories of individuals with disabilities. So this gentleman, Alberto, he is from Rome, not Italian, he's Roman. And at some point in his life, later on, he ended up immigrating to England. And that is where he currently lives. We also find out through the course of the documentary that it was in his 20s that he got diagnosed with a degenerative condition that has left him more and more without the use of his body. His muscles are just deteriorating over time. And so Beth goes about making this documentary about him and his life and how, despite more challenges and difficulties being added into his life, he gets happier and happier, hence the title, The Happier I Get. So the way she goes about this documentary filmmaking is really exciting. At the beginning, there's this beautiful montage of shots of different areas of Alberto's flat. So to me, it really spoke to me, this documentary style of filmmaking. So we get a shot of the entryway to his home. And then there's a shot of his wardrobe with his clothes stacked, folded. And it's a little bit messy. And you just get the sense that you are seeing a real person's life. And then there's a shot of the bathroom with his disability chair within the tub. So we get like within the first minute or two of the film, we get a real sense of what his life is like. And so from my perspective, that is some expert documentary filmmaking that happens right there. And then it goes on to do a conversation of Alberto responding to questions from the director, or we also hear his friends, his British friends, most of them are women in probably like their 60s, who are just commenting on the aspects of his personality that they think are great, why he's impacted each of their lives. And the thing that Beth really succeeded in doing in this film is that she gave me such a desire to know more. So in this short film, it was hinted at the reason why Alberto had come over to Britain. And there was a moment where he was really honest, and he talks about him experiencing racism for the first time because he doesn't sound like everyone else speaking around him. And it just left me with so many more questions of, why did you come over? Why did you? He used to work in the Vatican. He was in charge of the keys of letting like the, and there was this great moment where he talks about he had, that a bishop had come in and wanted to enter the church. And he's like, you can't. And the bishop's like, yes, I can. Why can't I? And he's like, because it's closed, because he has the key. The church is closed for the day. And then he goes, I'm the archbishop. And then he like is able to get in. Take a look at
Clearly
this film.
enjoyed that moment,
He
right?
really enjoyed telling that moment. He enjoyed living
watching,
that moment.
yeah,
I'm
right.
sure too. Yes, and I enjoyed watching it. And you get again a slice of life look at someone who, how they experience life, and how they find joy and happiness and fulfillment despite challenges.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. There we go.
Important.
Important.
Seems like a lot of the by chance, a lot of the things we picked seem to be giving really lovely messages. Which,
Yeah.
I guess is partly why we do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one.
Next one. Let's go.
Jump in next. So we have Trio. Barnabas Walsh is the director, and this is also we didn't say that the Happier I Get is local filmmakers.
Oh yeah, local filmmakers. Check that one out.
Yeah, and also so is Trio. I chose this also for the light-hearted nature of the pitch. It talked about having jokes that belong in a Nickelodeon cartoon. And I was like, great, let's see what's going on. Yeah, there's this really funny moment where one of the characters, like, to show off, I guess is how I'd explain it, picks up this sofa to show that he's strong and useful. And for context, it's these three characters, a trio of people, in this one like kind of bar space, and they've found out they've got a new job, a criminal job to heist something, I believe, and they're just arguing amongst each other who's useful and who's better at this, and like who should do what job. And one guy's wanting to write a plan, and the other guy's like, let's just wing it, and they're just constantly like in competition with each other in a very humorous way. Mm-hmm. So this moment, this one character picks up this sofa to show that he's strong and useful, and he's I don't know, better than the others in a sense. And in the way that it's shot and the way that it's done, it's very totally like Nickelodeon cartoon kind of humorous moment. Yeah, which it's lovely to see that in live form. But definitely has a particular comic tone to it, which is fun. And I was saying earlier that it's such a brave choice to be like, right, I'm gonna set something like in this one space, and it does have these like flashback moments which are lovely and funny, where through dialogue they're like remembering that another job they did and what actually happened, and it shows the different versions from different perspectives, and like the humor of it being really inaccurate, like one person's version of it, and actually what actually happened was completely different.
And so does that happen in actual flashbacks, or is it
In
just
flashbacks.
within
No,
the dialogue?
So they have these
so
little flashbacks.
cuts away from the room they're in, and
Yeah,
we have yeah.
Exactly so you have these little moments where you're coming out, but predominantly you're in this one setting, and I think it's a really brave choice to just say, right, we're gonna have some characters in this space dealing with this conflict, and that's all we have, except for these little like moments of the outside world or the past experiences. And it's just a three boys that just you get a sense that they're just very bad at the job they do, and kind of shifting the blame and kind of don't seem to be too professional about it, and are kind of in competition with one another, and that in itself is just a lovely idea. Super funny.
No, go ahead.
You had a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I through all of that, I would love to see, like, just like going forward. It's an incredible idea. So I'd love to see like a spanner, like just on the dialogue, like something tightening it. That was hard to say. Tightening it, because it's that, and that's why I think it was great, because it's set in that one space. You don't have you can't really rely on much else. You can't rely on these, I don't know, beautiful scenery or whatever other skills that filmmakers have that I don't even understand. Whatever it is they're doing in the storytelling medium, you're refined to this one space, and in this case, these three characters and what they say to each other and their relationships. So I'd love to see that like zoomed in on and honed, and I think that would just like make it even funnier and bring out the humor more, which is like lying there really perfectly. So really lovely film, and I don't know, keep as we're saying, keep making. I enjoy your humor. I felt your humor in your pitch. It's definitely coming through, so I keep sharing that. Funny things are very important. So.
They are very important.
Do you have a question? Or
No, just fixing my hand.
Amazing.
Okay, so we've got 2 more films to talk about. Thank you so much for being with us. So many people have been making comments on the chat. We've even had some of the filmmakers within the chat. Thank you for joining us. And we'll just keep going on our way. So the last film that I am going to be sharing for these first looks is called A Day in the Life. And it was directed by Jared Oakes. Mm-hmm. Again, sorry, Oates with the T.
Oates. Not Oakes.
No.
No K.
Jared Oates.
Delete the
K. This one is part of our local filmmakers grouping. So please take a look at this film. Some solid. After watching this, I went and took a look at some of the scores that came out from our other judges, and there we go. Sorry, I moved us ahead too far on the posters.
We have some delays the other side of the room.
So, looking at the scoring that came in from the judges, we're not giving scores. We're just talking about the films. But when I looked at the scoring that happened on this film, like some very high scores. Mm-hmm. Take a look. Take a look at this film. Again, this one follows the life of a gentleman living with a disability. And what I found really interesting after I got done watching the film is then taking a look at the credits, is that our protagonist, the lead character, is also our screenwriter. And so this gentleman who has written this and plays our lead characters, really, I would imagine it comes from a lot of real life, actual lived experience. But I just want to commend you in your skill in screenwriting, because you told that story in such an efficient and clear and engaging way. Again, there are so many moments in this film, a lot of this film, where the storytelling is told without dialogue. We've got some great dialogue written in, but there are just these beautiful moments where this character, Pat, his name is, the writer and actor, his name is John Furlong, where Pat, we just see him processing the way people have treated him. We see him processing his own insecurities, his own, all of the emotions that often get overlooked, especially, I think this is becoming more and more conversation these days about how so often male emotions and experiences are getting overlooked. And this film really, really artistically and expertly
Expertly,
touches on this
Must
subject
watch.
matter. I just have to talk about a couple of scenes that were incredible in their filmmaking. There's this scene towards the end of the film where this character, Pat, he's walking through, he's on his way to someone's house, and he's walking through a tunnel.
Is it this poster?
Yes, that poster. He's walking through that tunnel, and there happens to be a couple other people in there. And as you expect, as he's walking into this tunnel, they are going to start harassing him. And the camera movement and the edits in this scene are spectacular. Just the way that that we experience it with him, and how then it will cut to black, and then it's so good. It's so good. And then the quick zoom in, really nice. Another moment of really beautiful filmmaking is there's a moment where his girlfriend is leaving her house, and as she steps out of the house, and then she's like coming down to the front path, as she starts moving, the way that the camera moves with her and then zooms in creates this real feeling of urgency without her having to say anything. It's because of that camera movement with her.
Nice.
Like, it's just amazing what can be created on film without dialogue through that expert skill with. Well done. I wrote down your names. The director of photography is Paul Mortlock. The director, who also plays a featured role at the beginning of the film, his name is James Oates. And then our writer and lead actor is John Furlong. Guys, take a look. It is in the local group. A day in the life, and you truly get that. A day in the life.
Nice. Also, I want to say there's, again, this thing of silence and quiet. Like myself as a, it's my takeaway. As a creative, I don't make films, but I like writing, and as we said, actors. This sense of, I don't know, it's more of a question, but the relationship between silence and dialogue.
Yeah.
And it seems that the ones you're pulling out and mentioning when it was really effective, the silence being effective and the dialogue being effective seem to go together. And I'm very curious on that relationship going. That's just my little exciting takeaway for myself that I wanted to say.
Thanks for inspiring us, all of you filmmakers. Okay.
It's come up on a lot of your films, right?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Super cool. So, next, it's our final, minus the bonus. The Garden of Living Ghosts. It's in Trend Setters. This is by Sammy von Salvius. And this is a beautiful story of a couple that are trying to re-find their love in this fantastical world. They're in the Garden of Living Ghosts, the title, and they're trying to find letters that they had buried, I believe in the bio it says 10 years ago, and the female character is adamant that if they find these letters, they'll find their love in their relationship again. And there's a real reluctance and a real kind of disconnect between them, and it basically ends up meaning that they end up getting lost in this garden, and the garden becomes this, I don't know if you got Stalker Tarkovsky-esque world where you're just the path should go this way and bring you back to this point, but it doesn't, and you're here in the garden and you don't expect to be there.
So is it like non-linear storytelling? Is that, or
no,
totally
linear storytelling? But the space they're in isn't like it's sci-fi fantasy. The garden they're in is magical in itself, in that they get lost because things are changing. So like you're heading down this path and then suddenly you're at this other spot.
Gotcha.
So the Garden of Living Ghosts is in itself like manipulating the story and is a character, and what I took from it is kind of forcing them to refine this love, or forcing them to find the letters. And at some point they do. I don't want to say that bit. Watch it. I don't want. There's a little bit of a spoiler. I don't. No spoilers. No spoiler alerts. And yeah, so some things that really stood out from this beautiful story is there's these just lovely shots where the camera's facing up through the trees, and so that you have the frame itself is framed by like this beautiful movement of the leaves and the trees swaying in the wind, and it's just beautiful. Again, it's just the reminder that like the visual medium of film is like it can be so. I don't know what that communicated so much to me. I don't know what, but it made me feel a lot and made me really appreciate it. And moments like that just like pull you in. Right?
Yeah,
I was just very pulled into those things.
Yeah, you describing, because I haven't seen this film yet. Only Lloyd watched it. Of the shot of the underside of the trees. That's something that like brings me back to my childhood of loving that visual.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's interesting. That's cool. And it make and you know then you go I want to experience that. I want to watch that. I want to I want to keep watching this story. What it's bringing up a lot for me. So yeah, that for me, those kind of moments really, really stuck out. And then you have these other shots where both characters are in frame, and you're seeing the kind of, let's say, turmoil or the disconnect in their relationship, but the kind of yearning for it. And there's this lovely moment where they're lying down and she like touches him on the back of the head and like kind of strokes his hair, and you're seeing this like tenderness that kind of starts to like this fight, you know, and it's like, oh, let's refine this love. There is a real sense of I want to find it. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I don't want to give away what happens because
So should we leave it at that then?
No,
You've got a little bit more.
Yeah, no rush. It's all good. We have the time, but the beautiful thing of it is this sense of search, and yeah, okay, let's put a point. Yeah, it's fine. And I think you should definitely watch it. Definitely take these beautiful sorry, it's Sammy, isn't it? Sammy, you're. I don't know. I love your it's a personal thing, but I love your romanticism and tying that fight for love inside of a fantastical world. So definitely keep diving into that world and just keep making those stories. I think it's lovely. That was The Garden of Living Ghosts in Trendsetters.
That's delightful.
Yes.
So as Lloyd hinted at, we do have a little bonus, but before we get to that, we want to thank you all for joining us today. And thank you for your engagement on the Member Hub. Now, if you are not a member of the Liftoff Global Network, we will put the link in the chat, and you can take a look at what it means to be a member and how you can be a part of these conversations with these incredible filmmakers and what you can be giving and contributing to this community, and perhaps having your films promoted like this, being a part of the network. So after the deadline had passed for submitting these pitches, one pitch snuck in at the very end, and although we don't have time to discuss it fully, I just want to point it out to you all to perhaps take a look. It is a film by Haruka Yamakawa, and it is called The Other Side. And it is about a 13-year-old boy who is basically trapped at home with his drug-abusing mother. A really, really engaging story that is accomplished in 8 minutes, which I just find incredible to be able to get that much storytelling in that short amount of time. That one is part of Trendsetters. So if you'd like another recommendation right off the bat, The Other Side.
What made you pull this one out? Why should we watch it? Just quickly.
Wow. A very nice pitch that was made by Haruka. But then it was just seeing what life is like for an individual stuck in this situation, for two individuals actually, because the mother's hard to relate with, hard to root for, maybe is a better way of saying it, hard to root for. But we are put in this world where we see what it is like for both of them. And unfortunately, there are lots of kids throughout the world who are in situations that are not safe. And I think it just creates a lot of awareness and thought within, again, like just beautiful storytelling. And the young boy does a great job.
Nice.
Great job.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's it. And thank you very much for joining us today on Lloyd and Carolyn's first looks as first looks as part of Manchester Liftoff 2023. We will be doing first looks for each of the festivals moving forward, each of the city-based festivals. So keep an eye out.
Yeah, it will develop as it goes.
It will.
Keep watching us.
Keep watching. But
Watch
then
this space.
also keep an eye out. We have another video coming out in a couple of weeks' time for this Manchester Festival, talking about funding opportunities. So please keep us on your radar. You won't want to miss as we talk about how you can fund your future films.
And this is something that we're going to do for each one. We're going to try and make it as specific as we can for each place. So it's going to be as specific as we can get for Manchester.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And also to note that the applications for our networking night on the 1st of April in Manchester is open. So jump on in, come and network, come and have fun with us. And I think that's everything covered.
I think that's it.
Lovely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well done, Lloyd.
Bam.
Thanks everyone for being
Thanks
with
for
us.
the films.
And
Keep making them.
Yeah. Have a great day.
We're gonna end it up.